Well, it's time for the first of two heats in the men's 3,000 metres. The first 6 go through by right from each heat to tomorrow afternoon's final. That's at 4:50 p.m. local time. So they've got, about 28 hours recovery. George Mills goes in this one for Great Britain, the fastest European this winter indoors. Mills, of course, producing that astonishing 7:27, so close to a European record in Val d'Orée. That was at the beginning of February. Philip Ingebrigtsen goes in this one too. It's a loaded field. The Norwegian, one of the elder brothers of Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who won the 1,500 metres last night. 31 years old now, in good form. 7:39 this winter, a personal best. That was on the 9th of February. There is George Mills. His dad, Danny Mills, an England footballer, former England and Manchester City footballer, in fact. Jason Gormley of Ireland, 7:40 this winter, in fine form, the 26-year-old. That was in Boston 3 weeks back. And then we saw James West there, second in the UK Championships in 7:40. Bastien Augusto for France, Moreira of Portugal, Almgren, he's in fabulous form, Almgren, 7:36 this winter. The Swede over 3,000 metres, and Maximilian Torworth of Germany completes the lineup there. He's a 7:41 performer this season, 7:38 a couple of years back. It's a loaded field, it really is. 11 men out there. The first 6 go through. And just looking, Abzadine Habs is in this one too. Habs, who has run 7:31 this winter, got a medal last night in the 1,500 metres. Away they go then. Now, is this going to be a quick one? 15 laps of the track. Habs took the silver medal in the 1,500 last night. He slots into 4th place there, behind James West in 2nd, and the leader, Torworth of Germany. So 2 Brits going in this one. A pair of the Irishman there goes Gormley. Slots into 3rd place, behind Torworth and West. Ingebrigtsen to the right of picture. Philip Ingebrigtsen, remember, Henrik and Philip both racing still, but both coaching, help coach their superstar younger brother of the trio, Jakob, who won that 1,500 last night at a canter in 3:36, and of course broke the world record, 3 weeks or so ago for the mile and the 1,500 metres. George Mills has got to be running with a new frame of mind now, Hannah, with the calibre of his running when he set that 7:27 UK record.
Yeah, and George Mills, he trains with Thomas Dreisiggacker, a German coach that runs a European group. We saw Reve Walcott-Nolan take a medal in the 1,500 last night. Garcia looked brilliant qualifying in the women's 3,000 with a huge last kilometre. And their philosophy is very much consistency is key. They train very hard all year round, lots and lots and lots of mileage. So they seem to get very giddy and excited when they get to taper off and they get to race. And that 7:27, I think, was a rare opportunity for George Mills to back off the training and see where he is at. He said he was in heavy training for that British Championship, still managed to get the win, but I'm sure he will have eased down here, and he'll be fresh, and he'll feel good, and he'll have a great turn of pace.
I thought that when he won the UK Championships a couple of weeks ago in Birmingham in 7:40, it was one of the most relaxed 7:40s I've ever seen. He really is in superb form, is George Mills. It's easy to forget he's a 3:47 miler. Has run 3:48 indoors, 3:47 outdoors, George Mills, and they're cantering around these early laps very, very casual indeed. 34 the last couple of laps, 2:16 at 800 metres. It's very slow indeed. Maximilian Torworth is a good athlete, 7:34. He ran 7:38 rather. He ran 3 years ago. He's a 3:36 1,500 metre runner. Perhaps not as quick as several men in this field, and that's why he's wanting to push this along from the front, although it's not a taxing pace, but at least at the front you can react to things other people do in the front half doesn't. If you're towards the back of the field and somebody kicks off the front, there's a delayed reaction time that really does compromise your options. Good to see Gormley running the shortest line on the inside there in the green strip of Ireland. Attended the University of Oregon, that famous university.
He's actually coached by Ben Thomas, the same person that coaches Cole Hocker. So James Gormley, he lives and trains in Birmingham, but he is guided by Ben Thomas. So they know how to prepare themselves for championships, and he's just been granted the citizenship for Ireland to compete, so it's great to see him and his senior debut with that green vest on. And there goes George Mills, the first athlete to take the bait and be bored of running these slower laps and just wanting to spread it out a little bit. Mike Foppen, for me, he's right at the back with Philip Ingebrigtsen, the local athlete. He's very good over 5,000 metres. He should be thinking about getting this going, as should Algrim, the Swede. You know, he's so good over the long distances. But Ingebrigtsen doing what Ingebrigtsens do and just enjoying a bit of a jog at the back at the moment.
We should probably explain that Cole Hocker, for the uninitiated, is the Olympic champion at 1,500 metres. A bit of a surprise winner, not to Americans after his run in the trials last summer, but a bit of a surprise winner, beating Josh Kerr and Jakob Ingebrigtsen to that gold in Paris-Nice as well, getting amongst the medals for the USA. But, yeah, Cole Hocker, many people think he's the favourite for the 3,000 metres of the world indoors, such has been his form recently on the indoor circuit, as George Mills takes him out through this middle kilometre. The first one very slow, 2:50.11. It was 8:30 tempo. Mills, Almgren, who's had a fabulous year. Almgren, the Swede, the 29-year-old, he's in brilliant form. 3:32, 1,500 metre runner himself these days. So if you can't run down around 3:32, 3:33 as a 5,000 metre runner these days, you're just not going to be at the races, so to speak. So it's Mills and Almgren. The Frenchman who got that silver medal last night in the 1,500 metres, Asdin Habs, tucked in fourth place behind James West. All the big names beginning to rise to the front.
Mills just looking to bring them through with 6 laps to go. And Mike Foppen, he made a move, the Dutchman, and then he tucked back in. And keep your eye on Verheiden, the Belgian national record holder over 1,500 metres. He did run yesterday, he came 7th place, but he has got a good finish on him. Habs has just kept himself out of trouble. I think Habs sort of described this 3K as a bit of fun, a bit of a bonus after that medal yesterday behind Jakob Ingebrigtsen. But Mills here, you get the feeling every lap is just getting faster and faster. We saw his teammate Marta Garcia employ similar tactics as they go through 2,000 metres in 5:25.
Well, what will this final kilometre produce? It will be quick. The first kilometre, 2:50. That second kilometre, 2:35. Mills winding it up. Almgren responding. Habs on the outside doing likewise. James West on the inside, very calm in third place. Doing everything right at the moment. Was a close runner-up to Mills in those UK championships. Beginning to move down the outside now after a 29-second lap from Mills. It was an imperceptible acceleration. Moving down the outside in that strange red strip of the Norwegians is, of course, the Ingebrigtsen. Philip Ingebrigtsen now beginning to make his presence felt as Mills holds the front, and I don't think we'll see him relinquish it now.
I don't think so. I think George Mills is going to respond to any challenge on his shoulder, and he is getting faster and faster with every lap. That's why they're not able to get past him and launch a challenge. Anyone that makes a move at this point, I think they're going to be taking away from the last 300 metres and any ability to increase the speed, so they might just hang in there and try and have a frantic sprint towards the end.
Well, his last 2 laps have been under 60 seconds in total. He's really making sure they stretch out, and that picture says it all, doesn't it? Single file now for the first time in this race. Mills, Almgren, West, Habs, Ingebrigtsen, and Torwart, the German, back in 6th place at the moment. It is 6 to go through, remember, at 28.8. He's doing this masterfully, is George Mills. Dragging it out, stretching away. The gap's beginning to appear between third, James West, and Habs in fourth. Perhaps running on tired legs for that 1,500 metres last night in those legs as Philip Ingebrigtsen swings round him and into 4th place to cover the gap. Only 6 to go through, remember. It's going to be very tight for the minor places as they come to the bell this time. George Mills leading. Almgren comfortable, bouncing along in those muscled legs in 2nd place. West looking very calm in 3rd place too. He's going so well is James West. Down the back straight, these 3 away. The Dutchman Foppen struggling hard, grimacing hard, but I'm not sure he's going to make it. He's back in 8th place now as they come round the final bend. Habs finds a little bit more speed to get past Ingebrigtsen. Torwart it is in 6th place and coming through strongly the Portuguese, but the 1, 2, 3 are Mills, Almgren and West, no problem at all there. Habs comes through for 4th place, and I think the Portuguese snatched a spot there in the top 6. Moreira, a late challenge from him. Who did he deny a place in the final? Waiting for those places to come through, and it might have been Ingebrigtsen who ended up run out of it into 7th place. 7:50 for George Mills, that winning time, and that off a first kilometre of 2:50. Very, very clever closing acceleration over the last few laps.
It really was, and I feel for Philip Ingebrigtsen here. He ran out of space. He was running into the back of Azzedine Haps. I think he had more in his legs, but he didn't have the space to use it. And it was a smart move from the Portuguese athlete, Moreira. They're still in a photo finish between those two. Torworth being given 5th place. There he is, 51.72. And then it's a decision between Ingebrigtsen and Moreira. And it's gone to Moreira. 7:51.74. Ingebrigtsen's going to be thousandths away from the final here. What a shame.
Yeah, frustrating for him. And he was the one who covered the gap to try and get back to the first 3. He ran a brave race, but misses out by 2/100ths of a second. The final kilometre, by the way, there, around 2:25. Look at Torworth working hard to get through into an attacking position. He ended up in 5th place, the German. It was quite physical, that one, in the latter stages. This is it with a lap and a half to go, I think. You can see the first 3 are well away. Ingebrigtsen here looks okay, doesn't he? Is this going down the back straight, in fact? And you can see the battle is going on. But look at Moreira here, the Portuguese, in the green. He's in 7th place with a lot of work to do, but he's closing on those ahead of him. And Ingebrigtsen just didn't have the legs. Former European champion at 1,500 metres in the red there for Norway to hang on, as Mills takes it from Elmgren and West. Habs too getting a shove in the back as he eased across the line. Torworth coming through. Ingebrigtsen on the inside there in the red. Oh dear. Didn't realise Moreira was coming and didn't have time to respond to the surge from the Portuguese.
And I think he didn't have the space either, Ingebrigtsen. He was already running into the back of Habs. And that's a real shame, because I think he did have the legs, but positioning is so important everywhere, indoors or outdoors. And Moreira, he judged his... Second heat of the men's 3,000 metres. Remember, it's just 6, no time qualifiers, and I think it makes for a great spectacle. It's much easier for fans to understand. We're not sitting here trying to describe other athletes in previous heats. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, he ran down from the hotel yesterday for the 1,500 metre final as his warm-up. He didn't use any of the transport here in Apeldoorn. He said that helped him stay relaxed. Niels Laros, 7:29 this season in Levan. He took the win there. And he'd love to take a medal here in his first indoor home championships. Adam Fogg goes over a shorter distance. Often we see him over 1,500 metres. There's Alsan Bibic of Serbia as well. He took the bronze medal last time out in Istanbul. There he is, the 22-time European European champion. And Ingebrigtsen looks fresh despite those exploits last night. Stefan Nielsen, European under-23 1,500 metre champion, stepped up this indoor season to the longer distance. Balvin Magnusson of Iceland also here. National record holder Jon Heymans of Belgium will go with hit number 5. Florian Brem of Germany, best of 7:39 this season. Sam Parsons, the American-based German, 7:38 this year for him. Andrew Koskren, new national record holder for Ireland, 7:30.75 in Boston. And Romain Monet, final athlete for France, on the inside, 7:40 his best this season. I think great clockings from Jan Schrub and Jimmy Gressier. Jimmy Gressier going on to do great things over 5,000 indoors, but choosing to not come here to the championships. So Jakob Ingebrigtsen, personal best set, winning in Istanbul, 7:40. Of course, 7:17 outdoors, the world record, but indoors he's not run incredibly fast yet. And you'd say the championship record could be under threat as we go through this championships. That stands at 7:38 to Ali Kaya from 2015. But Magnusson, happy to take up the running at the moment. It is a competition of who can run the slowest first K and then have a burn up. That 2:25, really impressive, sort of led by George Mills in that first heat. And that's some serious closing speed.
Well, and also his last 2K, 5 minutes.
Nice.
After a 2:50 opening kilometre. I mean, he wound it up wonderfully, Mills. He never really gave anybody a sniff at getting past him. It's a toughie, a tough way to run a race like that, tough way to try and get past somebody. Not that they needed to. You just need to finish in the top 6. Foggy here, Adam Fogg. An Aussie Brit, good to see him sitting in there. He's a great racer. He's Foggy, a 3:49 miler indoors last year, 7:40 this winter. And that was in New York at the beginning of February. But so many men in this field have broken 7:40. I mean, look at John Heymans of Belgium, 7:37 in Boston. Baldwin Magnussen of Iceland, 7:39. That was in February in Espoo. Nielsen of the Netherlands, 7:37 in Karlsruhe at the beginning of February. I mean, it's 7:40 has become the old 7:50.
There's a lot of talent in this heat and a lot of men that will think they've got a right to be in the final. And Niels Laros, what an opportunity for the young Dutch athlete. He finished off his junior career in Antalya with a win at the European Cross Country Championships. So it was a good way to... No, he didn't, did he? No, he didn't win the junior. He did win the junior cross country title. There's so much drama in Antalya. But Laros, he's much more a track athlete. I think 1500 is his best distance. But him and Nielsen, the two Dutch athletes, are choosing to run the longer distance here. You see a lot of 1500 metres run up and do a 3000 indoors.
Well, Laros, there he is, loping along third from the back. He's supremely confident. At 19 to have run 7:29 is quite astonishing. Massively talented young fella. He's got good speed too. This is the thing. So many of these lads these days, this generation of middle distance runners, have wonderful speed. Laros is a 1:44 performer at 800, 3:29 at 1500, 7:29 now at 3000. Not yet a fast 5,000 to his name, but it'll come.
Magnussen doing all the work here. We're going to come round and see the first kilometre marker here, and I think it's going to be around about 3 minutes or so. I didn't think we could get much slower than the first heat, but I think we are. They were 2:55. There you go, 2:50. All right, they weren't any slower. And bang on, exactly the same.
Do you know what? 2:50.10 for this one. The first heat, the first K, 2:50.11. I mean, within 1/100th of a second. That's a few centimetres.
So we will see Jakob Ingebrigtsen at some point move through this field, and it caused chaos in the men's 1500 metre final last night. Robert Farken going down in the end because they're all waiting for it. They all know he's there. It's like someone looking over your shoulder, trying to copy your work or trying to see what you're up to. They will all know that he's looming behind. And Adam Fogg's got a turn of pace. He'll be ready to respond. And I think I'd rather be up in the top 5 or so here. You might get a glance at the big screen. You might know that Jakob Ingebrigtsen is coming. When you look at the likes of Andrew Koskeren or Stefan Nilsson, Sam Parsons sort of in the middle of the pack, they could be caught unawares here. Laros well placed. If Ingebrigtsen goes round him, hopefully he go right on the coattails of the Norwegian, as we see Philip Ingebrigtsen watching on from the sidelines.
Yeah, watching on from the sidelines, having not qualified. Jakob very relaxed at the back, goes through with 8 laps to go. I'm glad to see Adam Fogg of Britain up towards the front there, just trying to cover everything that might go on behind them. It's early stages yet, well before halfway in this 3,000 metre race. But single file, I think he's wound it up a little bit as the Icelander from the front at the moment.
Just a tiny bit, yes, Tim, you're right. And Magnussen, he does know his way around a 3,000 metres. 7:39 is best.
Isn't it interesting that Laros has chosen to take things very relaxed as well? Second from the back, just in front of Jakob Ingebrigtsen. You could argue in years gone by with great champions and the way they race, just shadow them, follow them, see what they do, try and follow them through. But of course you can't do that with somebody of Ingebrigtsen's calibre. He's so able to accelerate and surge through the latter stages of his middle distance races. You try and follow that and you'll just get blown away. Your legs will collapse under you full of lactic acid. He is a very special athlete. Not even one in a century, one in a millennia, I reckon, Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He's still right at the back of this field. No sense of panic or worry whatsoever.
But how often do we see in our sport when you've got a title and you've got an athlete like that in your event, that they just dictate the tone of everything and people just stop running a race that suits them? And you know, I just think we have got a lot of 1500 metre runners in this heat. I do think this tactic might suit them. Jon Heymans, the Belgian there, he's just trying to get him past Nilsson, but he's a 3K, 5K guy. This isn't going to suit him. It being this slow is not going to play into his hands, but he's let it go this way because that's what Ingebrigtsen does. So second kilometre reached in 5:31, so it is a little bit slower. And there goes Stefan Nilsson. He's the first man to lose his patience and take the bait Ingebrigtsen, Laros still at the back. The field's bunching. They know they're getting towards the business end here. Just 800 metres to go now. The fastest lap of the whole race. They're finally down to 30-second clockings, led by Nielsen. Magnussen's done well to protect a good position there. The long-time leader, Adam Fogg, moved very quickly onto Nielsen's shoulder. Laros and Koskinen trying to move. Ingebrigtsen still last.
Yeah, Ingebrigtsen not worrying at all. That second kilometre, 2:40, was only 8-minute tempo. It really didn't come alive, this race, in the second kilometre like the first race did. Moving down the outside is Koskinen of Ireland. That's a big surge there with 3 laps to go. That's a 29.3. Still nothing from Ingebrigtsen sitting at that back there, just oozing confidence.
And I'm glad to see, the likes of Niels Laros has said, I'm not waiting any longer. I'm not risking not making this finals. Top 6 qualify automatically. And but you can tell the other athletes, they're always looking over their shoulders saying, has he done it yet? Has he come past us? And here goes Jakob Ingebrigtsen as we go with 400 metres to go. He's out in lane 3, Ingebrigtsen, trying to get past this massive pack. And they will all try and respond. Magnussen tangled with Laros on the inside. Adam Fogg suddenly pinned in 4th. And there goes the new 1500 metre indoor champion, the world record holder outdoors in this event. For the first time, Jakob Ingebrigtsen shows himself. And is he going to go all the way past Nielsen? 250 metres left to go in the second heat of the men's 3,000 metres. There goes Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He's gone for home. Nielsen trying to hold on to second. And there's a huge group here for just 6 places. Magnussen, the Icelandic athlete that led for so long, he's floundering at the back of the group. But Nielsen and Laros trying to make it 2 Dutch vests into the final. Blem of Germany has positioned himself really well. Ingebrigtsen, class apart here. He's got time to wave to the Norwegian team in the stands. And a celebration from Florian Blem. Roman Mornay looking smooth. All of them in the end, the top 6 looking comfortable. Stefan Nielsen, Andrew Koskinen, Niels Laros separating themselves from Sam Parsons.
Wow. Just wow. His last kilometre, 2:22.4, I got it at Ingebrigtsen. And he was loping around that final lap, glancing around as he crossed the line. His last 400, 54.4. So relaxed. Smiling, chatting away a minute after crossing the line. Foggy of Great Britain finishing down in 8th place. But Mornay, good run from him. Brem of Germany. Nielsen of the Netherlands makes it through. Koskinen as well. No major surprises, I think, in that one. Niels Laros doing as little as necessary to get through. 7:56.4 for him in 6th place. And Sam Parsons just missing out in 7th, along with Fogg. Magnussen, the early leader, down in 9th place, the Icelander. But the way he just eased around that pack, lengthens the stride, the power he uses. This man is quite magnificent. And you look at the way he gets that 4 or 5 metres on this field, Hannah, on that final circuit. It just looks effortless.
Did you say 2:21? That is really... I was impressed by the 2:25 in the closing kilometre in the previous heat. And it's just astounding. And it did so much of that in the last lap. I love Blem's celebration here over the line. He positioned himself really well in that last 300 metres. And it's great to see him into the final 2:22. But yes, that's so impressive.
That was Ingebrigtsen split 2:22. Yeah.
But he didn't have to do that. And I'm impressed by Nielsen. I think you're right, Laros and Koskinen, they haven't shown their full hand there. They knew they were in the top 6. They could see Parsons wasn't quite going to be able to lift his pace.
That's a nice picture for the Dutch. The 2 orange vests to the right, Nielsen and Laros going through just fine. And who'd bet against, as well as for all the officials. And this promises to be one of the finals of the weekend. How can these men, the other 11 apart from Jakob Ingebrigtsen, defeat the legendary Norwegian James West and George Mills, the 2 Brits in this final, might have something to say about it. So might Niels Laros, the astonishingly talented 19-year-old Dutchman. He'll get a huge roar from this crowd, of course, along with his teammate Stefan Nielsen, who has made it through to this final. Let's have a look at these men. Almgren, 29 years old now, the Swedish record holder at 1,500, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 and a half marathon. Talk about being multi-talented. The German Florian Brem is in this final, the 24-year-old. Best of 39, 7:39 this winter. George Mills, fastest European this winter. Indeed, one of the fastest men in history after that 7:27 recently in France. There is Jakob Ingebrigtsen. Can he add 1,500 gold, 3,000 gold to his 1,500 gold, I should say. He's still only 24. He's been around for years. Niels Laros, sixth in the Olympic 1,500. He's only 19 years old. What a talent he is, and so confident. James West, also with a good chance here of medaling, 7:37 this winter. Moreira of Portugal, 2024 Portuguese champion at 5,000 and cross country. He's strong. Torvert of Germany in this field. Koskoren of Ireland, 7:30 this winter. What a season he's had. Fastest ever at 1,500 mile and indoor 3,000. Mornay of France is out there as well, 7:40 this winter. And Stefan Nielsen, what a roar for him from this huge Dutch crowd. 7:37 from him this winter. Joined in the commentary box by Wendy Sly, who will assist us on this commentary. 15 laps of the track, and away they go. Now, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, there he is in that Norwegian strip, straight to the back. He rockets to the back, and will just jog round these early laps. But I wonder whether anybody will take this out and make it quick and challenging, or if it will be a slowish race. James West going to the front, but he looks a little reluctant to lead it to me. Although, Wendy, these big wide bends on this track, of course, make being at the front, running the shortest line, more of an advantage than on other tracks where there are tight bends.
Yeah, I think in the 3000s particularly, it's quite important to get a position fairly early on in the race because, as you say, Tim, overtaking on the bends is pretty difficult on these tracks. And George Mills there actually in a pretty good spot, as is James West, in the front, not in any trouble on the inside. And, just a little nudge there from Jakob Ingebrigtsen as they go into the top bend.
Well, that first lap, 34.07, was pedestrian, very slow, and I think maybe Ingebrigtsen thinking, no, this is going to be so slow. If I sit at the back, somebody might go down and I'll pick up the results. So you don't want that. You might as well be at the front to control things. 34.59, an even slower second lap, can you believe? And this is jogging for the majority of these fellas. Well, it's almost the tempo of their Sunday morning runs, their long runs. But Jakob Ingebrigtsen being allowed to control things at the moment, and I've used the phrase once or twice in the past as of Pied Piper, and that's what he's playing at the moment here, Ingebrigtsen. The others happy to dance to his tune. He probably could be playing the flute at this tempo, frankly. But George Mills on his shoulder. Laros moving to the fore. This is only the third lap, and yet they're all gathering at the front. The big names, 35.11. It's very, very slow indeed. But when it's this slow, I suppose you can afford to be anywhere in the field, Wendy, as long as nobody kicks off hard from the front.
Well, I wonder whether that's why Jakob went to the front. Normally he sits at the back, but I think it was just too slow. And we've seen a few casualties on the track over these last few days, people tripping over, being caught on the inside or trying to get through on the inside. And he's safe up front there. And as you say, Tim, controlling the pace, even though it's pretty slow right now.
Well, 800 metres in... about 2:18 and a half there. That's a 34.63 lap. I mean, it's really is staggeringly slow. These fellas are all great 1,500 metre runners. Ingebrigtsen, though, remember, breaking that world record for 1,500 metres on the way to a mile world record 3 weeks back. So he has the least worries of all of them, perhaps, when it comes to closing speed over the last 3 or 4 laps. But it is rather worryingly bunched at the moment. 3 or 4 abreast in that pack. They're not wanting to run too wide, these fellas, because they really do run quite a few extra metres around the bends. 2:52 at the 1,000 metres point. 2:52.56. I suspect that in itself is a world record for slowness in the opening kilometre of a major championships indoors 3,000.
Well, George Mills there going to the front. I think he's got a bit impatient there, and also he's been a casualty indoors, as we've seen in the past, getting tripped. So I think he's thought, you know what, this is a little bit too slow for me. At least I'm going to get in front and give myself a little bit of space.
Well, Laros towards the back of the field on the outside there, left of picture. They come through. There's another lap. What's that? 32.97. Ironically, that's the quickest lap of the race so far, almost 33 seconds. Yeah, Mills at the front will be very, very comfortable with this tempo here, and I'm sure that Ingebrigtsen is aware of the capability of George Mills. A 3:47 miler outdoors, 7:27, remember, is the fastest time in Europe this winter. It is almost in the all-time top 10 globally. Mills has got fabulous speed and power. His father, Danny, will be in the stadium, of course, former England footballer, defending legend himself. Almgren on the shoulder of Ingebrigtsen there, just boxes in the Norwegian as they go through yet another very slow lap. Nobody taking any chances here by going out in front and trying to press on, but at some point I have a feeling people will lose patience. Coscoran for Ireland moving up round the outside from the back of the field up into about 7th place at the moment. The French duo there looking comfortable enough mid-pack. That's Habs, remember, who took a silver medal in the 1500 metres, and Mornay. But George Mills at the moment just keeping things nice and steady as they go through 7 laps to go. We're into the second half of the race, Wendy, but still nobody has committed yet.
Yes, it's staggering, really, that all these guys are confident enough that they think they can out-kick each other, and also Jakob Ingebrigtsen at the same time. Although it has to be said, I'm sure Jakob's probably not the most comfortable where he is right now. He's got a little bit trapped there with people all around him, and that is the danger of running slow as they come up with 6 laps to go.
You make a good point. Nielsen losing patience there. The Dutch competitor, one of the 2 Dutchmen, Laros, back in about 6th place in the other orange vest, and they go round now with as they approach 2,000 metres when they come through the line this time. Mills on the shoulder of Nielsen, well positioned. Ingebrigtsen on the inside. You make the point that Ingebrigtsen doesn't really like running the middle of a pack. He's not used to it. He's usually at the back or at the front, very occasionally just making that surge through from the back to the front. But in the middle of the pack, he's not so familiar with this. 5:29 at 2,000 metres. 5:29. A 2:36 second kilometre. Again, still very slow for men of this calibre, but it's beginning to wind up now as they go down the back straight with 4.5 laps to run.
And Jakob's just moved out from that boxed-in position and is starting to look a little bit dangerous now. But George Mills still looking comfortable in front, and it's good to see 2 Brits up there in the first half dozen.
So it's Mills, Almgren, Ingebrigtsen, West. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. Coscoran of Ireland in 5th place on the outside as they go round these bends. But nobody really wanting to be running wide on these bends now because the pace picking up. And Mills has hit the front. Mills down the back straight from Almgren and Ingebrigtsen, who's always been there or thereabouts in this race. He's a canny racer. He doesn't make many errors in racing. You have to run supremely to beat him. He was, remember, 4th in the Olympic final in Paris last summer over 1,500 metres, so he is aware of his vulnerability. A 28.2 lap there with just over 2 laps to run. Mills now still winding it up. Ingebrigtsen in second. When's he going to go? Here he goes now. Ingebrigtsen, 2.5 laps to run, and he hits the front, and Mills will slip into his slipstream. Almgren in 3rd in that yellow vest of Sweden. West in 4th. Coscoran in 5th. Habs in 6th, the medalist in the 1,500. 2 laps to run, and it's Ingebrigtsen out in front, and it seems that there is no sign of Laros here. He's not having a good day, the young Dutchman.
Yes, it's interesting, actually. George Mills kept looking up at the screen, looking behind him, was almost waiting for Ingebrigtsen to go. And Neil Gurley, the other Brit, in an interview after the 1,500 the other day, said they were all looking around for Ingebrigtsen, and now he's hit the front. And George Mills, quite rightly, is tucking in behind him, which is the best place to be with 1 lap to go.
They go through the bell then. Ingebrigtsen leading, on the way surely to a double gold. Or can Mills deny him that gold? A glance over the shoulder there from Mills is telling. He's worried about those behind him, not focused on getting past Ingebrigtsen, who kicks on again with 100 to run. Almgren under pressure from the 1,500 medalist Habs there in 3rd and 4th. Coscoran in 5th, but Ingebrigtsen, majestic, magnificent, comes home to an easy win there. 1:49.9. I got his last 800 metres. Fabulous finishing speed. That's what you expect at the end of a slow, meandering, tactical 3,000. George Mills, a super silver there for Great Britain. And the battle for the bronze, well, it was a big battle, and Habs was challenging for it and did get it just ahead of Almgren there. 2/10 of a second between the Frenchman, who gets his second medal of the championships, and Almgren in fourth. James West, a fighting fifth there in 7:51, and Coscoran of Ireland, well, in sixth place. There is no shame in that against a field of that calibre. That's probably the strongest field I've seen in a European Indoor Championships for several decades, Wendy, I have to say.
Well, I think we were all looking forward to that race, weren't we? And it didn't disappoint. I mean, it was a strange and slightly frustrating race to watch, and I'm sure it was a bit strange and very frustrating for the athletes out there on the track. But you have to say that Jakob at times didn't look uncomfortable, but when he went to the front, he was supreme. And George Mills did the right thing by just hanging on to his coattails for as long as possible and coming away with a well-deserved silver medal there.
Well, Ingebrigtsen, I got his last 800, 149.98, and George Mills, he'll have been a click outside 150, I suspect. Brilliant for Mills. Look at him grimacing there in second place. Ingebrigtsen also relaxed, a glance around, the finger aloft, of course, just the one finger signify number one. That's me, and he is again and again and again. This is the battle for the silver. Almgren working so hard, giving it everything here. Habs, though, with that greater 1,500 metre speed, just easing past him in the critical last 20 metres to snatch third for France. Only about a metre between them there. And James West, well, a brilliant fifth for the Briton with Coscoran in sixth. And Ingebrigtsen being interviewed on the infield. I don't know if we can hear. Well, we talk about people being living legends. This fella really is. He doesn't make any shame of that phrase. He is quite astonishing, and will go from strength to strength. And a lot of people wondering what he'll do at 5,000 and 10,000 metres in years to come against the record books. Confirmation of that win for Jakob Ingebrigtsen, 7:48.37 at a canter ahead of George Mills' silver for Great Britain. Over a second, that winning margin. Habs taking that bronze there for France, just ahead of Almgren of Sweden, with James West in fifth place. There's the athletes bringing up the rear. Good running from Brem and Nielsen and Torworth and Mornay to make the top 10. Niels Lados out of sorts today. I was expecting more from him. I know many were, but he finished, the young Lados, down in 11th place. Well, he must be getting used to this.